Mason Johnson and Ken Bell are deep. It's Johnson at the 2-yard line. He's out to the 20 and dragged down at the 21-yard line. Number 85, Andy Parker, in on the tackle. John Elway, who had his best game of the year in beating the Rams last Sunday. The wide receivers, there's the rest of the starting lineup. Just underway, the first play from scrimmage at the 21-yard line. That's Vance Johnson in motion. Elway to Dorsett. Dorsett had a big game against the Raiders earlier in the year. That was that tremendous game, comeback game for the Raiders, who were down 24-0 at the half. Dorsett has not had anything to resemble that day since, when he was well over 100 yards rushing. Greg Townsen, Bill Pickell, and Mike Wise, the front three for the Raiders, who were playing a 4-man front earlier in the year. That's been scrapped. Lyndon King, Matt Millen leads in tackles. Jerry Robinson and Rod Martin, a veteran core of backers. Ron Fellows and Mike Haynes at the corners, and Russell Carter, the ex-Jet, along with Van McElroy, playing with a very painful throat injury at free safety. Second and 5 from the 26-yard line. Elway's first pass incomplete, in and out of the hands of Tony Dorsett at the 32-yard line.
Greg Townsen coming very quickly in from the left-hand side. He, of course, in the spot normally occupied by Howie Long. Now he's still out with a calf injury, although they're optimistic that he might be able to come back. You see the pressure right there, forcing Elway to unload that ball just a little too early. That matchup between Townsen and Lanier, a classic matchup of strength and speed on both sides.
For the first time, Elway in the shotgun, 6 defensive backs defensively for the Raiders. And on 3rd and 5, Elway looking for a hole, can't find it, and Townsen is there along with Pickell to record the sack for the Raiders. Greg Townsen, who came into the game with 6.5 sacks this year to lead Los Angeles.
Raiders have recorded 32 on the year. That puts them right in the middle of the pack. Let's look at the pressure. Elway feels it, gets up inside. He wanted to get away, but could not. Pickell right there in front of him to keep him from scrambling up the middle.
3rd best average in the NFL, Mike Duran for Denver. 44.4, and that's Tim Brown, the sensational rookie from Notre Dame for the Raiders. He is frightening in the opening field, and he's to the 40-yard line. Tim Brown, the Heisman winner of a year ago with the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame, and he has been a sensation here in Los Angeles as a rookie. Steve Sewell made the catch. Of course, last Monday night up at Seattle, final seconds of the first half, it was Brown returning a kickoff after a Seattle touchdown, almost all the way for a touchdown. And this could have been a key play in the season, as the touchdown was saved on a good hustling tackle, but Brown, just great speed and instinct in the open field. He's been all the Raiders had hoped he would be out of Notre Dame. He's not just a good prospect, he is certainly a great prospect, and leads the Raiders in catches as Jay Schrader throws to Brown out to the 46-yard line. A gain of 5, 2nd and 5. Jay Schrader, it's his job now. Steve Berline has been put on the bench, and Schrader, the ex-Washington Redskin quarterback, will take him the rest of the way with Marcus Allen and Bo Jackson, a pair of Heismans behind him. Tim Brown, another, as a wide receiver with one of the greats, James Lofton, the ex-Packer. Andy Parker for the injured Todd Christensen, a tight end. Mosbaugh, Ream, Lewis, Wilkerson, and Graves, the offensive line. Both teams throughout the year have done a lot of shuttling in and out with so many injuries in the offensive line. That's been a common problem for both the Broncos and Raiders. 2nd and 5. Marcus Allen, or is it Bo Jackson, out to the 50-yard line, and there may have been a fumble, and the Broncos acting as if they have the football. No, the signal is Raiders maintain possession. Jim Ryan in to make the tackle with help, and Tim Brown apparently fell on the football.
Chance to look quickly at Cragen, who over pursues the play. Look at it right there, as Jackson able to cut back against the grain and pick up the yardage. The ball, as you see, stretching loose. But it was an alert play by Tim Brown, as you mentioned, Dick, to pick up that football and maintain control for the Raiders.
That was Mike Harden who had a chance for it, scraping at the ground, trying to pull it into his chest. But Brown, the man on the spot, first down at the Denver 49. Jackson trying to get outside, and Mark Haynes can't make the tackle, and he rumbles down to the 41-yard line before Rick Dennison can bounce him out of bounds after an 8-yard gain. Vincent Edward Bo Jackson against the Denver defense that reads this way: Walt Boyer, Greg Cragen, and Ray Townsen, an undersized defensive line. Simon Fletcher, perhaps the best of the 11 defensive players for Denver. Ryan, the veteran. Dennison, Michael Brooks. Mecklenburg still on the sidelines. Mark Haynes and Jeremiah Castile at the corners, and Dennis Smith and Mike Harden the safeties. Steve Smith now in at fullback for the Raiders on 2nd and 3. They give to Bo Jackson, and he plows inside the 40. Appears he has a first down at the 38-yard line. Michael Brooks, the tackler.
The size of this offensive line for the Raiders, how they match up against Denver's relatively small defensive front. Look at the sizes there. Premium so heavily on pass protection today, and that's where the size pays off. Those long arms, the ability to reach out, get a hold, push off, pays big dividends for the offensive line.
11 minutes left in the first quarter, no score. The Raiders at the 39-yard line with another first down. This is Steve Smith. Had a couple of touchdowns at Denver in the comeback win at Mile High Stadium. He's to the 36-yard line. The former Nittany Lion from Penn State, Greg Cragen, and Rick Dennison collaborated on the stop.
Dick, the main variable in this game, as you look at it, there are a lot of predictables in the game. The main variable has to be Schrader. Schrader has come in now after sitting down, after having a chance to digest quite a bit of this offense, but we still don't know how he's going to do against this Denver defense. They throw a lot of looks at you. They had 23 different defenses on 1st and 10, for example, in the last 4 weeks alone. His problem today, recognition and ignition of that offense. He has to get it going.
Shanahan said he is the key not only today to the rest of the Raiders season. His throw to the sidelines is complete to Tim Brown, who's wrapped up immediately at the 30-yard line by Mark Haynes, and that'll be close to another first down, perhaps a yard shy.
Tim Brown has really come on strong, has tremendous maturity as a rookie. A lot of rookies really have a difficult time with the discipline of the passing game. Not so Tim Brown, and I think had the quarterback situation been settled here in Los Angeles, you'd probably see a lot more receptions in that reception column for this young rookie.
Well, it's really testimony to his talent when you consider that the other wide receivers for the Smith picks up the penalty, and with that goes a first down for the Raiders at the 31-yard line.
One of the difficulties with having that many quality receivers is you're dealing also with some quality egos.
That's right.
And it's hard to get them the ball as often as you would like to do it, and they tend to get a little discouraged.
Brown to the right, Lofton to the left, Marcus Allen, the solo running back, as the Raiders use 2 tight ends. Raiders' first possession has driven them deep now into Denver territory, and now Schrader goes for it all. Could be intercepted, but it was out of bounds. Castile covering Lofton. Incomplete.
One of the dangers that Schrader will face today is that in Shanahan's offensive plan, the receivers must read the defense and must make sight reactions to the defensive play. If they're seeing one defense and he's seeing another, that ball may well find its way into the hands of the defense. Turnovers, of course, something that the Denver Broncos have relied on heavily over the years defensively. They give up large chunks of yardage, but traditionally were able to come up with the big play down near the end zone.
Now, that was the case in point last week against the Rams, who were down inside the 10 several times and couldn't score against the Broncos.
5 times, 1 touchdown.
Marcus Allen slashing off the left side for short yardage as we take a look at the 10-minute ticker. And Tampa over Buffalo. There's the score of the day. San Francisco beats Atlanta. Indianapolis squeaks by Miami, and Detroit has another win at Green Bay. Here no score, but 3rd and 5 for the Raiders. Schrader, well protected, has a first down at the 20-yard line to Steve Smith, the fullback. A 7-yard pickup in front of Randy Robbins. Check it, it's Marcus Allen who makes the catch.
And Allen, who's wearing a cast on that injured wrist, look at the cast on that left hand, makes it difficult for him to catch the ball on that left hand side. He's got to control it with the hand and the cast. Looks like he got a glove in there to protect that thing from rubbing, but that's the navicular bone of the wrist. Good job of corralling that pass. And Schrader, very impressive in this first drive. Very calm, taking his time and getting good protection. Now that's got to be the key for him. If you can pressure Schrader, you can force the mistakes. But so far, he's having time to throw the football. That's not good news for Denver.
Using those two talented backs, and this time it's Allen again, who won his Heisman while playing on this field for the University of Southern California, and has drawn high praise from his new coach, Mike Shanahan. And we welcome aboard those of you who have seen the game of the day as far as the Buffalo. Here in the Los Angeles Coliseum, Dick Enberg with Merlin Olsen. The Los Angeles Raiders on their first possession have marched to a 2nd and 9 at the Denver 19. Quarterback draw and lone play, and Ruin Jones is right on Schrader to drop him for a loss. There's Jones from Utah State. He has been rapped throughout the league and was during the week here in Los Angeles for his failure against the run.
What they're trying to do is to get this man to move to the outside, which they do, and just drop back and then come right up the middle. Let's see what happens to the play. Schrader gets what he wants in the sense that the nose tackle moves out, but it's a stunt on the other side, and Rulon Jones stunted right into the middle of that play. Otherwise, it would have gone for yardage.
That's that mobile, small defense of Joel Collier. You can't always count on players being where you expect them to be, and that proved to be a winner for Rulon Jones. 3rd down, big play, and it's caught at the 10 and into the 9-yard line. Is Marcus Allen, the bread and butter back of the Raiders, and that's going to be very close. Let's see where they spot the ball.
A very live and strong arm. In fact, 2 of the strongest arms in football on the field today. And Schrader has been throwing with a great deal more authority the last 2 weeks. His tentativeness from earlier in the season has been replaced with a confidence, I think, an understanding of the system, and you see it right there. Receiver is open and the ball is on the way.
You could see Schrader, who for 4 years played minor league baseball with that gun. He was a catcher, and he hits just enough to Allen for a 1st and goal just inside the 10-yard line.
He and Elway share another very positive characteristic as quarterbacks, and that's the quick release.
Both of them minor league baseball players. Both of them, there's Townsen, who has a knee injury, we understand. We don't know how serious. They both were involved in high school action here in the Los Angeles City area. Pacific Palisades High for Schrader, and Granada Hills High School in the San Fernando Valley for Elway. One went to UCLA, the other to Stanford. Both played minor league baseball, and now they're matched against each other today. And Bo Jackson, look at him squeak through. He was stopped cold at the 10-yard line and just burrowed his way for 6 yards to the 4. Michael Brooks was the last man to touch him, and Jackson almost running on his knees for a score.
Definition of second effort. Look at the hole close, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Jackson, who refused to go down, just kept his feet moving and found the opening.
There's Bo Jackson, who finished his Kansas City Royals season with 25 homers and 27 stolen bases. First 25-25 man in Kansas City history. 2nd and goal. It is Jackson again for a touchdown. And here in Los Angeles, we welcome those of you who have just seen the Bengals beat the San Diego Chargers 27-10, and that was Bo Jackson. Here's the replay, the first score in the Coliseum as the Raiders take a 6-0 lead on the determined running of Bo Jackson. That's 2 in a row for him.
He ran right over Jim Ryan, Dick. Just smashed over the top of Ryan and carried 2 other Denver tacklers into the end zone. That's where the size and strength of that Denver front 7 has got them in trouble.
Chris Barr to try the point after, and the Los Angeles Raiders, knowing a win would move them into a 3-way tie for first place in the AFC West, since Seattle has lost today. Take the early lead 7-0. The 230-pound Jackson would not be brought down. Last years they were, as this kickoff is sponsored by Budweiser, the king of beers. Chris Barr sends it toward Jason Johnson and Ken Bell. It is Bell in the end zone, and they'll take the touchback at the 20-yard line. 7-0. The Los Angeles Raiders lead on a 59-yard drive in 13 plays. Are indicative of the patience of Schrader and the Raider offense to go 59 yards in nearly 8 minutes. And a couple of key third down pass completions to Marcus Allen, extending the drive before Bo Jackson took over. 2 runs, one from the 9 to the 4 and one from the 4 to the end zone, where he just overpowered the defense. Now the Broncos turn, trailing 7-0 with 5:25 left in the opening quarter. Elway can't get away, and he's sacked for the second time. It was Scott Davis, one of the 3 first-round draft picks of the Raiders. He's out of Illinois. Well, it's been a most important Sunday, as they all are. 2 to go. New England over Seattle. Giants big against Phoenix. Washington beaten by, well, not yet. That's still not a final. 27-10, Cincinnati a winner. Cleveland hanging on to a 3-point advantage over Dallas, trying to snap their 9-game losing streak. The big upset, the Buccaneers over Buffalo. San Francisco beats Atlanta. Indianapolis over Miami. Detroit a winner again against Green Bay. Here's 7-0 Raiders. Second down and 19. And Dorsett able to squeak out about 4 to the 15-yard line. Let's look at the late scores. There are 2 others beside this game. Minnesota 7-0 over the Saints, and Kansas City an early lead.
As they've had to move a lot of bodies around in that offensive line.
And of course, for the Raiders, they're playing without their top pass rusher Howie Long, who has been on the sidelines for some time. Lots of time for Elway. Now he breaks out, throws to Gerald Wilhite. And Wilhite diving to the 29, but that'll be a yard short of a first down. Jerry Robinson, 57, submarining in to make the tackle. 14 yards, but a yard too few. And on 4th and 1, the punting team comes on.
Elway's awareness and his ability to escape the sack, obvious here. Look at that, away from 2 guys right there, and quick enough to get that ball off. Just unloaded it. Wilhite, with his gymnastics skills, came very close, as you mentioned, to that first down. But Mike Horan gets another opportunity, and Jay Schrader gets the ball again.
And the Raiders fans move up to the edge of their seats with Tim Brown back at the 25-yard line, the sensational rookie return man. And it's a short, dying kick toward the sidelines and out of bounds. Now, the Broncos have been talking about that all week. It goes out at the 39-yard line, that they would kick away from Brown and weren't afraid to kick out of bounds. However, they don't want to kick it quite that short.
A little short. They were enjoying themselves, as was the crowd, obviously.
Very much a part of the community in the Mile High City. The Raiders lead 7-0, and Marcus Allen bumped at the line of scrimmage, keeps on his feet, and like Bo Jackson, refuses to be tackled until he picks up nearly 10 yards. Michael Brooks finally brought him down, so Marcus turns a 2-yard loss into a sizable gain.
Number 55, Rick Dennison, didn't know which way to go. Looked like Marcus nailed behind the line. Watch him. Number 55, he's getting over. He thinks they're coming to the right. No, Marcus is going to the left. He gets back over, only to find Harden there, but Harden couldn't hang on. This tackle allowed the first down, as Mike Harden got a hold of the elusive back, but just could not bring Marcus down. And Marcus, what a tremendous professional. Great body control, great instinct for where the openings are. Showed it all right there.
Well, we have a big score just in. The Redskins, with 1 second left, got a 44-yard field goal from Low Miller and beat Philadelphia 20-19. And we have a timeout in Los Angeles. That patchwork orange offensive line shoulder injury. They're taking x-rays currently as the Raiders have the ball at their own 49 with a first down. The toss to Bo Jackson, and he's caught after a 1-yard gain. Dennis Smith, the safety, coming from the far side, trailing the play in on the tackle. And let's look at the other scores. And 5, and with Cincinnati winning and Buffalo losing, those 2 teams in the AFC are at 11-3. And since Cincinnati beat Buffalo, should we get it? down to that final game of the playoffs, Cincinnati would have the home field advantage as of today. Marcus Allen tripped up by Greg Cragen, and Jim Ryan on the back to secure the stop.
Cragen, a very quick nose tackle, about 255 pounds, not strong enough to take the man on straight up and play both sides. He's a slanter. Watch how quickly he'll slant to the left-hand side. Wilkerson, the guard there, is able to push him off slightly, but Cragen very, very quick, keeping his good position, able to make that play. He's the leading tackler. He and Tim Crumry, the only two nose tackles in the league that lead their teams in tackles. Crumry, of course, with the Bengals.
3rd down and 8. Long 7. It's closer to 8. Look out. And Schrader is hit hard on the sack at the 44-yard line. Randy Robbins coming through on a safety blitz. Oh, the Raiders will have to punt. Gossett averaging nearly 42 a punt. Drives a perfect spiral toward Gerald Wilhite. He's at the 13 to the 17-yard line, and the flag is down. He may have had an offside on the play or ineligible man downfield. Let's get the official word. Offside against the Raiders, so the Broncos may elect to have Gossett kick it over.
We talked to Dan Reeves. You feel the pain of that loss oozing through his pores.
Somewhat a surprising decision. They do not ask the Raiders to kick it over after a 44-yard punt. They take the ball at the 18. Elway out of the backfield, incomplete to Winder. Jerry Robertson on the coverage, former UCLA All-America. Well, it's fairly simple in the West as to the team that will make it into the playoffs. If either Seattle, Denver, or Raiders, this is before play today, won their remaining 3 games, they won the West. Well, Seattle has already lost at New England, so it'll be between the Denver and Raiders to decide which team at least has the chance. Next week, Denver at Seattle, Raiders at Buffalo. Buffalo's lost 2 in a row. And then finally, Denver hosts New England. Raiders host Seattle the final week. So the wild, wild West is that again.
This is playoff time for both these teams, without question.
Elway protected well. Underneath he goes to one of his 3 amigos. And it appears to be Vance Johnson, who has his first catch today, the leading receiver for the Broncos, his 57th of the year, his best year in the NFL.
The Raiders have played well here in the Coliseum. They've won the last 2 games against the Raiders here, 3 out of the last 4, and that's important. They feel confident coming in today.
And that's the end of the first quarter in Los Angeles. You know, if their people get healthy, many feel that they have the personnel to be the team to make it into the playoffs. And they've started well today with a 7-0 lead. Long incomplete throw by Elway. No one near the ball on 3rd and 5 as we open the second quarter. Natil was 15 yards from where that one landed. And the Raiders will get it as they dominated possession time and yardage in the first quarter and lead 7-0. So the Broncos, as yet in 3 possessions, have had 3 downs and a punt.
It's been up and down for the last few weeks for the Broncos. Last week, of course, they did a good job against the Los Angeles Rams at home. The week before, they were shut out 42-0 in New Orleans. The week before that, well, they won big against Cleveland.
Another wobbly boot toward Tim Brown at the 33. Brown to the 45, the 47-yard line. And the Raiders with a lead will start an excellent field position at their own 47. Time of day in Los Angeles, not for Carl Mecklenburg. He's had the pins removed from that broken right thumb, and they hope that he might be able to play next week at Seattle. The all-pro linebacker.
Miss him so much on defense, Dick.
He gives that defense such a variety of talent, not only his size and speed, but savvy. Schrader in trouble, and down he goes as the sack recorded by 71 Greg Cragen, who had only half a sack all season long. Let's go to New York. And Al, thank you, Gail. Eddie Murray returning to Los Angeles, where he was a high school star. And the Dodgers, the world champions, and their fans will be pleased to get that great switch-hitting first baseman. After the sack by Cragen, Schrader looks at 2nd down and long over the middle and almost almost intercepted. It was intended for Steve Smith, but right into a pack of white jerseys. Rick Dennison and Jim Ryan both were close.
I was about to say how well Schrader had handled his responsibilities so far. He was 3 for 5 until he threw that one. He's now 3 for 6, but that 50% average, much better than the Raiders have been doing on the season.
In fact, the Raiders' completion percentage is the lowest in the NFL as a team and the lowest in this decade. They're just hitting around 42% of their throws as a team. Brown, Galt, Lofton, and Fernandez, 4 wide receivers in for the Raiders. Out of the shotgun, 3rd down and 20. Schrader. Incomplete to Fernandez, or was it Lofton? James Lofton at the 47. Had he caught it, it would not have been nearly close to a 1st down. Thrown behind him. Robinson Haynes on the coverage.
Pressure forced the early, able to pick it up, not even able to corral it.
Gerald Wilhite back at the 20 for Denver as Gossett drills a long punt to the 15. And Wilhite returns to the 23-yard line. A modest effort, and there's a timeout with 13:51 remaining. And hold on, we've got a real scuffle going on. One of the Raiders and Mark Munford of the Broncos trying to pick out the Raider. It was Brown, a rookie from Ron Brown, a second-year man from Southern California for the Raiders, and they were really going at it. Let's see how the officials sort it out. There's Munford, the combatant for Denver. Might be one of those negating unsportsmanlikes.
We got offsetting personal fouls. 64 Raiders, 51 Denver. They'll offset. 1st down.
So the timeout. The ball will stand as it is at the 20. Raiders leading 7-0. The offensive line tutored along the near sidelines.
Alex Gibbs, former Denver line coach, talking to his new line here in the black uniforms of the Raiders.
Elway 6-2 in the last 8 starts after a tough beginning, but the 2 losses were big ones. 42-0 to the Saints and 55-23 at Indianapolis. Elway looking for an initial 1st down against the Raider defense, and he gets just a couple of yards on 1st down. 2nd down and 8 early in the 2nd quarter. It's 7-0 in LA. Most important win for the Washington Redskins and their fans, as Washington now 7-7 as they flirted with 4 straight losses. 2nd down and 8 for Elway. He sends Natil in motion, protected well. Townsen after him now, and he's got him. Out of bounds goes the ball. Is it a fumble or a pass? It'll make a big difference. If a pass incomplete, he'll save the yardage. If not, it's out of bounds at the 12-yard line.
It looked to me like Elway's arm was moving, but they could almost call it a deliberate grounding call. And Townsen, one of the few defensive linemen in the league who can really run with Elway. And of course, he was able to do that in earlier ball games, but now as a full-time player, not able to really conduct that kind of attack through 4 quarters. But boy, he showed you good speed there.
Well, they're going to call this a fumble, although it's obvious that Elway was just trying to dump it off and get the incomplete pass. They call it a fumble and a sack and a 12-yard loss.
That's the 3rd sack of the day on Elway, who's getting all kinds of heat from this Raider defense. They've been going basically in a 4-man setup, using a lot of Scott Davis, their big rookie, at that right end position, the open end position. Another look at the end of that play. And Dick, we talked about patchwork orange. Gerald Perry had moved over to that right guard position in place of Juriga, and Keith Bishop back into the lineup at the left guard position.
Look at Elway, a quick kick. And it bounces decently for the Broncos into the Raider half of the field at the 49-yard line, but so low as kicked by Elway that almost was knocked down just beyond the line of scrimmage.
Elway has done that before, but usually drops back in the formation to do it. He really doesn't go too far back, just a couple of steps. He's lucky that ball was not tapped at the line of scrimmage.
That's the kind of kick where you want the end over end and get the roll because you're hoping to surprise the defensive team, but he only got 40 yards out of it, and the ball is spotted just on the Raider half of the 50-yard line. 7-0 Los Angeles. 12 and a half minutes remaining in the first half in the sunny city of Angels. 70 degrees plus. Marcus Allen. Lots of running room, and another Raider first down at the 39 before Haynes and Brooks can bring him down.
Michael Brooks, who's getting some playing time in there, is at the outside linebacker, number 56. And watch the block right there. Rory Graves, number 60, buries Brooks on the outside, and that's the man who has to hold the point of attack. Dennis Smith up there along with the cornerback, Mark Haynes, but that's big gain. 1st and 10, Raiders.
There was Brooks, who starred at LSU, the youngest of 13 children in his family. They liked Brooks last year. He was drafted in the 3rd round. He would have been a 1st-round pick, but had a serious knee injury his senior year with the Bayou Tigers.
Getting a chance to play, Dick, not only because of the loss of Mecklenburg, but Bruce Klosterman out of that lineup as well. They had to put Jim Ryan inside and move Brooks in to give him an opportunity to play. Injuries a factor for most teams in the NFL. This long season has really taken its toll of all players.
2nd and long, 4 wide receivers for Schrader. Brown, Galt, Lofton, and Fernandez. He keeps Allen in the backfield with him, and he's down in the grasp at the 48-yard line in Raider territory. And Greg Cragen, as he had a first half
a sack coming in today. He's making those numbers count here today.
In the big bag today. 11 yards on that loss, so it's 3rd and 22. Schrader. Incomplete down at the Denver 30-yard line, intended for Willie Gault. And Mike Harden there to cover for Denver. On our 10-minute ticker, just inside his 40. High, beautiful spiral. Wilhite lets it bounce at the 5, and it goes into the end zone for the touchback. Denver ball at the 20-yard line. 51 yards for Gossett, 31 yards net. And we have a timeout at the 10:04 mark.
Seattle and the Raiders have all had their chances to sprint ahead in this race.
Well, it's conceivable the winner of the West might not have a winning record. Could win it with 8-8. Raiders beat Denver today. Seattle, Raiders, and Broncos would all be 7-7. And here's number 7 Elway to throw. Incomplete at the 25-yard line on first down. And Broncos with their 4th possession still looking for a first down. There's Lyndon King on the coverage for Los Angeles. There it is, updated. Denver 7-6 now in the lead, with Seattle losing earlier today at New England. The Raiders 6-7 after losing at Seattle on Monday night. Then San Diego and Kansas City. Elway now is 2 for 6, 19 yards passing, sacked 3 times. So if you put the sack yards in, Denver in the minus pool in the passing department. 4 wide receivers. Elway in the shotgun on 2nd and 10. Lobs it for Mark Jackson, and it's right on the money. First down at the 44-yard line. Van McElroy made the tackle. What a nice touch toss by Elway.
Ron Fellows trying to cover man for man on the outside. Too much speed for him. Actually, that's
Lionel
Washington as he tries to cover man to man on the outside. Washington, who was burned for 2 touchdowns last week, gets chewed up there, and Jackson continues his big play antics.
We saw against the Rams 6 catches, 2 touchdowns, 140 yards last Sunday at Denver. So the Broncos have their first down at their own 44. Elway hits his tight end, Kay, and Clarence Kay from Georgia is in Raider territory at the 47-yard line, about 8 or 9.
Kay or Mobley or Sewell or Wilhite, one of those 4 people has to come up with some big plays. That was a big play from Kay.
Johnson to the near side. That's Jackson on the far side, and Orson Mobley in motion. 2nd down give to Winder, who's stacked up, and a flag goes down.
So apparent that the inability to run the football still haunting this Denver offense. See there a holding call, and I'm sure the the reworking of that offensive line makes it difficult for the teamwork in there, and that often stimulates holding problems.
Holding. 89 offense.
Oh, well,
still second down.
Not one of the offensive linemen, though.
Man in motion,
Yeah.
Mobley.
Well, he is the lineman. He's a 265-pounder at 6'6". He's got to be the biggest of the tight ends in the league. One other tight end that's almost that size, Aaron Cox down at San Diego.
I don't know if Reeves is mad at Mobley or mad at the call, but you could see that chin harden. Ball marked back to the 42 for Denver, where it'll be second down and 12. Elway. He guns it to Steve Sewell, who takes it to the 46 near the first down. Russell Carter at safety from SMU, a #1 pick of the Jets back in '84, drags him down. Well, talking about injuries, how about the Raiders? At defensive backfield, they've got two men, Russell Carter and Ron Fellows, that were cut after summer camp and then re-signed because of the injuries to Terry McDaniel, a #1 draft pick. McElroy was injured. Turan was injured.
Talking about Carter, last week he was KO'd in that Seattle game, and I asked him, I said, when did you finally wake up? He said, on the plane home. He said, I looked at those films. I didn't remember anything of what went on in that ball game.
3rd and 1.5. Elway with that little pass, but his receiver had been bumped out of bounds. Tony Dorsett, Lyndon King on the coverage, and the Broncos will have to punt it. There's King, who played at Colorado State and is an active. Look at this. At the last minute, ran in punt formation, and quickly the Broncos line up on 4th and the 1.5 going to go for it.
Well, maybe trying to draw somebody off sides. Let's see.
Ooh. Well, the man went offsides. Mike Ruther, who was the guard, knocking into the Raider defense. And whatever that was, it didn't seem to work for Reeves.
Ball start. 57 offense. Still 4th down.
Well, one thing, it's not a bad play if there's somebody you want to get. I mean, it's
I think they actually probably were going to run a play here. That's the backup quarterback in there, Kubiak. And Kubiak wonders what the heck is going on with Ruther. Dan Reeves always has a package of trick plays and gimmicks. He loves that. That's one of the things he carried away from his Dallas experience with him. Now, that's one that backfires in a way, although they really haven't lost a great deal in this situation.
Except the trick is to stop Tim Brown. He's had 2 good punt returns, and he's always a threat to take it all the way for the Raiders. Toward the sidelines, which was the game plan, and it will go. Well, it won't go out of bounds. Brown did, the ball didn't, and at the 12-yard line, Horan, who has not kicked one into the end zone this year, not a single touchback. That's the 17th punt inside the 20 without a touchback. That's a marvelous mark for Horan. Raiders, 7 minutes to go, first half. Allen and Jackson, a talented tandem lined up behind Schrader. It's Bo. Oh my, he was 1 tackle away from a very long one. Dennis Smith would not let go. Jackson had threaded his way through everyone else.
Brings great strength and speed. That's a tough combination to deal with. Right through 2 arm tackles and almost through the tackle of Dennis Smith. He breaks that. Adios. Denver doesn't have anyone in that secondary who can catch him.
Yeah, that had 88-yard touchdown written all over it. A reminder to our viewers, we will be selecting the Budweiser Most Valuable Player. We'll announce that at the conclusion of today's game. So Schrader with a free down, 2nd and 1, throws and gets it to his tight end, Andy Parker, for a first down. Only the 2nd catch of the year for Parker from Utah, and it was dangerously close to being intercepted. Michael Brooks was right in the line of that toss. Minnesota 10-0 over New Orleans, and the Jets have chopped into Kansas City's early lead. Here's 7-0 Los Angeles.
Good arm strength on that play. We talk about missing players. Todd Christensen, ordinarily such a big part of this Raider offense. They say that there's a chance that if the Raiders are going to be in the playoffs, that he'll be able to come back In fact, may even be eligible for that last game of the season or available.
Bo Jackson trapped in the backfield, and Smith again. Oh, he's got that flypaper tackle technique. You just can't get away from him once he latches onto you. And Smith, who played at Southern California on this Coliseum turf, tackles Jackson for loss. And there's Todd Christensen, the Pro Bowl, 4 times a Pro Bowl tight end. Well, let's make that 5.
He'd like to make it 6. I don't think it'll happen this year, though, having missed a great deal of the season and missing more perhaps than he needed to because he tried to come back too soon on an injured knee and re-injured it.
So Parker and Junkin are using their talents at that tight end position, but they're not quite the pass receiver that Christensen is. Jackson does get outside, breaks a tackle, runs through 2 more, and a flag is down as Jackson belts his way to the 35. It will be short of a first down. Let's see the penalty, and there's an injured Raider back at the 27.
Might be Marcus Allen.
Nope, Tim Brown.
Tim Brown. Marcus was trying to block, as was Brown, coming in from the outside. Brown is up. Don't want to see your #1 rookie on the ground. Maybe the #1 rookie in the NFL this year.
Holding. 80 offense. Still second down.
James Lofton, number 80, gets the penalty, as announced by referee Johnny Greer. Well, there's Tim Brown. Ahmad Rashad back in New York on NFL Live today said he's going to vote for this man for NFL Rookie of the Year. Of course, Keith Jackson has had a great season with the Eagles in the East, but as far as the AFC goes, here's the leading pass receiver, Tim Brown. And is there anyone better at returning kicks?
I think you have to measure total impact on the game, and I think the thing that hurts him is that he is playing on a team that has lost a lot of ball games and has not had a stable quarterback. Otherwise, I don't think it would be nearly the race that it is.
After the penalty, Schrader needs some big yards. Goes underneath the Lofton, incomplete. So James Lofton, the reliable veteran from Stanford, who has 24 catches this year and 595 in his career, unable to latch onto that one.
Too many dropped footballs here in Los Angeles. These Raider receivers, great speed, great patterns, but you don't complete the package till you catch the football. James Lofton should have had that catch.
Tim Lucas, 59. Right there for Denver. That is a remarkable stat that Lofton is without a touchdown this year. 3rd and 18. Underneath. And to the 32-yard line goes Tim Brown as the Broncos played it soft defensively, gave the short pass underneath, and they stopped Brown shy of the first down by 8 yards. So Jeff Gossett, who kicked at Eastern Illinois and in the pros with the Chiefs, the Browns, the Oilers, and a couple of USFL teams, will punt for the 4th time. We've had our share of punts in this first half, and still 4 minutes to go. Gossett, a driving kick. Wilhite at the 23. It's a reverse to Jason Johnson, and Johnson gets to the 28-yard line. The Raiders did a good job of reading that. There was a lot of room to the near sidelines. Johnson might have turned it up a little too soon.
I think he just missed an opportunity to get out, as you said. Had he broken to the sideline, 64 Ron Brown is there, but I don't think he has a chance at it. Let's look outside. 56 Reggie McKenzie may be the man who saved that, because it looked like he had enough position to force the turn inside. Schrader, who started very well, really has not done a great deal here in the second quarter, and Elway has really had only just one fluttering drive into Raider territory. Not much besides that.
And that was just inside the 50. 7-0 Raiders. Sammy Winder, true to his last name, winds his way to the 33, but a flag is down as Lyndon King scores the tackle.
You see a little emotional breakout down there. One of the things that's missing from both of these defenses is big play capability. They're just not getting the big plays from either the Bronco defense or the Raider defense.
Holding. 60 offense. Still
Specialist Rulon Jones out of the ball game.
Physical punishment, the nature of this grand game of football, taking its toll now that we're in December. The draw play to Winder, and the Raiders, almost as if they knew that was coming, Allow 3 or 4 yards. So 90 Wise, 70 Davis in on the tackle.
Predictability and a lack of speed in that Denver. Suddenly you've got a whole stack of Raider bodies there. And it really has haunted Denver, their lack of speed and their lack of a lead blocker, a big blocker out of that backfield.
Under 3 minutes left in the first half, and it's 2nd and 16 for Denver, trailing 7-0. And it's the shovel pass to Sewell, and a great read by the Raiders, number 93, Greg Townsen. Now, Townsen with a sack, and he's been on top of Elway in this first half, and he stayed at home there. They were trying to get him to rush in on Elway, and he did not.
That's such a hard play to read. They want him to come upfield. And Keith Bishop had a chance to come over and block him, but what they have to do is believe that that defensive end is going to take himself upfield and out of the play. And Townsen, who's seen enough of that play to recognize it, made the good instinctive reaction and shut it down. All-pro play on that particular situation.
3rd and 14 for Elway. Going deep for Natil, intercepted by the Raiders. Ron Fellows, his 2nd of the year, the former Cowboy. It was intended for Natil. So the Raiders, with 2 minutes and a second remaining in the half, get the ball back at their own 48.
You get a little bit of a feeling for what John Elway is looking at as he locks on the right-hand side, and in spite of the fact that there's excellent coverage on the teal over there, unloaded the football anyway. Eddie Anderson, the 2nd man over, and you've got 2 defenders, and that's excellent position by Fellows, who is right there camped on the pattern. And Elway, who made a lot of bad throws early in the season, has not thrown nearly as many bad passes late in the year, but that was an ugly interception.
Los Angeles leading 7-0 at their own 48. Steve Smith and Marcus Allen behind Schrader. He sends both backs into the pattern and then throws to Allen to the 45 of Denver. The immediate hit made by 55 Rick Dennison, and that'll be the 2-minute timeout. It comes with 1:54 remaining in the first half. 1:54 remaining in the first half. The Los Angeles Raiders with a 7-0 lead, a quiet crowd of around 70,000 at the Coliseum. And it's 2nd and 3 for the Raiders and Schrader at the 45 of Denver. To Smith, wide open, 35-30. One man to beat Harden. And Harden does not get him. Touchdown, Steve Smith.
This crowd comes to life, and Denver is having to look back and remember the second half of that game up in Denver when Smith broke away for a long touchdown run up there, and that great comeback. He's done it again here as he pulled into the end zone. They'll try for the extra point, and Elway, a slow start here, has really put them under the gun.
42 yards was the combination. Schrader to Smith at Denver. 45 yards this time. Chris Barr adds the extra point, and the Raiders double their advantage to 14-0. And Steve Smith has 4 touchdown receptions, 3 of those against Denver.
There are a lot of folks here in Los Angeles who feel that this man should be playing a lot more football than he's playing. He's the best blocker in that Raider backfield, and you see here the kind of speed that he has. A good receiver, good ball carrier. He's going to get a lot more playing time in the future, but he's somebody that can hurt you defensively.
Well, the Raiders known for that vertical game where they like to stretch the defense long, and that's what they did. They sent their speed long, then threw underneath to Smith, and he just outran Mike Harden for the score of 45 yards.
Denver's defense has not played well this year when they've gotten behind. They used to be a defense that could hold their integrity, but they've kind of gone up and down with Elway. And as Elway has kind of sunk, this defense has kind of lost a little of their fire. You sense it here in this ball game. Slow start by Elway, slow start by the defense.
So 14-0, and the defensive coordinator Joel Collier Looking for some help there. There had to be a breakdown on a short pass like that for Smith to just go almost untouched for a score.
Well, there's always room underneath. When you get a quarterback time and get receivers, speed receivers downfield, you spread the defense, you're going to find holes underneath.
Barr kicks it. Jason Johnson fumbles. Picks it up. Fumbles. And who's got it?
I think Johnson ended up with the ball, but not by much. Just barely. And Elway will start with his feet back inside the 5-yard line if he goes to the shotgun here.
Vance Mueller, 42, was close to getting it for the Raiders. This was that you're in the hurry to get the pumpkin and you almost cough it up. Stephon Adams, 44, was also there. Well, the Broncos have been a tough team at home, but they certainly have shown some definite weaknesses on the road. We showed you some of those scores. Pittsburgh beat them 39-21. Indianapolis 55-23. New Orleans shut them out 42-0. The Broncos not a solid road team, and they're having trouble in the first half today. Vance Johnson gets a first down to the 20, and Elway in the hurry-up offense has 12 yards, but a long way to go with a minute and a half left in the first half.
An important play. You now have some breathing room.
Elway looking right into the western sun underneath again, and Gerald Wilhite just kind of falls down after the reception at the 27-yard line, and Denver will spend one of its 3 timeouts. Last reception, and it's just been a series of white jerseyed Broncos heading for training and medical help.
Oh, and this, of course, serious implications not only for this game, but as you get ready for the playoffs, you need to have your people healthy. And the Broncos continue to be sending them into the hospital. Both these teams should put up a red cross flag over their training headquarters.
Second down and 3 for Elway. He completes it to Natil, who is downed by Jerry Robinson. It's a first down, but the clock running down to 102, 101 into the final minute now. See Elway having to shield his eyes from the sun as he checks out the defense. With 50 seconds to go in the half, he guns the ball incomplete. Well covered and smacked pretty hard was Ricky Natil. Bo Jackson apparently
shaking out the cobwebs. Say he got whacked on the head. In talking to Elway before the game, he said one of the dangers of this Raider defense is they push everything inside. They want to force those receivers inside, and I got people waiting inside for you. And the danger is sometimes you don't see those black jerseys, particularly looking into the sun that way. And if you miss one of those folks, they might come up with a pumpkin. Elway, I don't think, missed on the earlier interception. I think he just made a bad choice in throwing that football.
There's the time remaining. 2 timeouts left for Denver. To the sidelines, and Natil does not go out of bounds, and so the clock continues to run.
Bad choice by Natil. He got greedy on that play, decided to try and get something extra, and then could not get the clock stopped. They had to use another timeout.
And the first down takes it to the 46 on the Denver half of the field. Elway, of course, using the sidelines here, and it's instant choice by Natil. Do you go out of bounds thinking that the defensive player figures you're going to step out of bounds? Maybe you can slicker him. Well, not fooled at all was Ron Fellows.
Now watch the play. If he is down inside the field of play and you saw the knee go down before the body or the ball go out, then the clock continues to run. He's got to get down outside of that sideline. That's so important. Control of the clock. That's something you work on all during the season, both offensively and defensively. Dick, we talked about the fact that one of the things that haunts Dan Reeves about that loss up in Denver to the Los Angeles Raiders was the fact that they mismanaged the clock just before the half and blew the opportunity for 3 points. So that's something they don't want to do here.
They'd like to at least get a field goal down 14-0. 38 seconds left and 1 timeout. Elway fires. Almost intercepted. It was intended for Mark Jackson, but it was right into the arms of the Raiders' Russell Carter.
That's one that we just talked about. A Raider waiting, absolutely hiding back there, and he may have been covered up by the other players. And Elway looking into that sun, I've got to believe he's having a little bit of trouble spotting those defenders. Almost threw it And an interception in that kind of situation, there's not many bodies between you and the other goal line. Look how open the field is in this direction if Carter catches that football.
Yeah, with his speed, that's 6 points. 2nd and 10, 32 seconds left. Elway again completes it at the 42-yard line, and there's the final timeout for the Broncos with 25 seconds showing. That shows you how important Natil making the reception here. Natil not saving a timeout by going out of bounds. That really changes the entire Dan Reeves strategy.
Dick, we talked about injuries and their impact on a team. Howie Long's injury to this defense for the Raiders is typical of that. Not only do you lose a guy who plays almost every down and is a great pass rusher as well as playing the run well, but it forces you to put onto the field Greg Townsen to play every down. Townsen was the rushing specialist for these Broncos, and he cannot be as effective a rusher, although he has rushed well here today with 2 sacks, when he plays every down. That was Howie on the sideline, by the way, with a calf injury. The other thing it does is to take a guy out of that lineup who is going to be double teamed on every play. And that makes it easier for an offensive line then to pick up the other people on the line. The Bill Pickels, the Scott Davises on the other side. So the impact is not just missing one person. It can filter down to 3 or 4 different people.
And that added, of course, to the fact that Sean Jones, who was a fine pass rusher, has been traded to Houston.
And doing a fine job in Houston, we might add.
Understand Achilles and shoulder injury to Wilhite, and now Elway with no timeouts remaining. Throws, is it complete? No, he was out of bounds. Mark Jackson had his knee already across the sidelines when he made the catch. 18 seconds left.
With these short receivers, and Denver's receivers all relatively small, Elway frequently throws that ball low to the ground and does it deliberately. Hard to intercept that kind of pass. The other thing you'll see Elway do here, and it's something he wasn't doing earlier in the season, he sets his feet and steps forward to the target right there. When he does that, he's a very accurate passer. When he throws off his back foot, that ball tends to fly. Talking about the size of the receivers, notice this. Bronco receivers, not a single one over 6 feet tall.
Quite in contrast to the Raiders. Elway, again, lots of time. And he'll just take that completion on the sidelines with 11 seconds left to Steve Sewell, the former Oklahoma Star. And that moves Denver at least into long field goal range. It would be about a 50-yard field goal try from there. They have one play before Rich Carlos, who has missed 5 in a row, would be called upon. In fact, he got a new haircut this week. He called it his slump cut.
Last 2 in that Cleveland game, and then in the New Orleans game and the Ram game.
Loose, deep defense for the Raiders. They'll give Elway the short pass. He'll take it. Nope, Sewell can't latch on with 6 seconds left. That would have made matters much easier for Carlos, but that won't be the case. And the little kicker who played his college ball at Cincinnati comes in to try to end the streak. His career long, you saw, is 51, and this one will be close to that.
One of the dangers of trying a long field goal is that you try and get that little extra pump to it and often kick the ball lower than you would ordinarily kick it. Carlos traditionally gets the ball up very quickly, but on a field goal like this might be susceptible to the block inside.
It would be his longest ever in the NFL, 53 yards if good. Bad snap, and that's how the half will end. The Raiders getting the ball as Kubiak could not spot it for Carlos. Stephon Adams was right there for the Raiders. 3 seconds left.
Folks up in Denver watching their television sets booing right now, perhaps rightfully so. It has been a pretty pathetic first half for Denver's offensive team and their special teams, and not a great half by any means for their defensive team.
The snapper Bishop, who's had lots of injuries, and critically to that time, you can see how does he snap the ball at all with all that tape and gear protecting injuries, and he didn't snap well, skipped it back, and Kubiak could not make the tough play. And this, unless there's a penalty, will be the last play of the first half. The Raiders in front 14-0. They have 4 wide receivers in. Maybe Schrader will try for that big long pass, hoping he might get a deflection. He certainly has the arm. Look at that throw. That'll go all the way to the end zone, where it is intercepted by Mike Harton, his 4th of the season. But boy, Schrader had that ball over 60 yards in the air. And that's the end of the first half. The Los Angeles Raiders trying to move into a three-way tie for first in the West, own a 14-0 lead, and as they say, it wasn't as close as the score.
Run with. We're seeing him trapped more often in situations where we thought he'd get away.
Well, I guess the most revealing statistic there, Merlin, is the fourth one down total yards. Only 130 for the Raiders, just 108 for Denver, as the defenses have dominated. At time of possession drawing closer after the Raiders owned the first quarter, and the Raiders with a 14
at Denver, and he simply was not ready to step in and take over this offense. But Jackson since that time has stepped up to start playing some good football, and Schrader, more importantly than anything else, is finally comfortable with this offense, and you could see that in the first half. Not spectacular, but comfortable.
Well, the kickoffs have become major excitement for the Raiders and their fans, because Tim Brown, who has for 30 a return, that's like 5 yards average better than the man in second place in the National Football League. And this kickoff is sponsored by Budweiser, the king of beers. And the Denver Broncos are talking about purposely kicking the ball out of bounds, just giving the Raiders the ball at the 35 rather than letting Brown flirt with another long one for a score.
We've seen their punter do that. Let's see if Carlos will do it here.
The second half underway. They kick it down the middle, so Brown will get his chance at the 1. And doesn't make it to the 20, as the coverage is excellent for the Denver Broncos. Steve Bryan, number 95, a linebacker, makes the hit. So Brown's average will dip a bit on that meager return, as Denver played it well. At the 19, Jay Schrader puts the Raider offense in gear. Understand Gerald Wilhite, with a couple of injuries, shoulder and Achilles, will not return. 14-0. Raiders with the ball to start the second half, and a comfortable lead. And it's Marcus Allen driving up the middle for 3 or 4. Greg Cragen in on another play, number 71 for Denver. Well, week 14 as we draw close to playoff time. Peyton his initial season as they beat Seattle 13-7. 1 second left. Miller kicks a field goal, 44-yarder, and the Redskins win at Philadelphia. A must-win foul ball, and covering it is Bo Jackson as he falls on a possible mistake. Other headlines today: the Bengals be in such a bad streak.
We'll look forward to seeing Dickerson against the Jets next week in New York.
Yes, that's a Saturday game, so be with us next Saturday from the Meadowlands. On 3rd and long, underneath to James Lofton. It'll be a first down if it counts, but there are a couple, 3 flags down on the play.
Rylan Jones playing, as we said, with a torn ligament in his hand. And there's an awful lot of holding going on down on the line. Much of it goes unnoticed, but someone noticed it on that play. Number 75, middle of your screen, Chris Ream. You saw him beaten for a sack. That's just an out-and-out tackle right down to the heels. We talked about
Holding. 77 offense. Still 3rd down.
We talked about rebuilt offensive lines. He's the 3rd starting left guard in this setup. They lost Charlie Hanna early. They lost John Giesick, who replaced Hanna, and now Ream has replaced Giesick. So this is another offense that has had to be rebuilt. At least the line has had to be rebuilt.
Shotgun, 3rd and 19 from the 9 for the Raiders. So Schrader into his own end zone. Then underneath to Steve Smith, a combination that worked for a touchdown, gets it out to the 22, short of the first down, and the punting team comes on for Los Angeles.
Dick, just to finish the thought about the offensive line prior to this season, if you discount the 2 hooksters in there, Rory Graves in there, Bill Lewis starting at center, and of course Ream, who's come in to start at the left guard.
Gossett delivers a short end-over-end kick that takes a Denver bounce back to the 45. of the Raiders, and this is the best starting position for the Broncos in the entire game. After this timeout, they'll begin at the 45 of years Pro Football Hall of Fame, College Football Hall of Fame, GTE Academic All-America Hall of Fame.
Oh my.
This is the other guy, and we're at the Coliseum. 14-0 Raiders. Elway play action and guns it complete to the 33-yard line underneath. It goes to Mark Jackson, and the young man from Purdue is college quarterback Jim Everett, the fine young talent with the Los Angeles Rams, who make their home now down in Anaheim. That was his college mate, and Jackson gives Denver a first down. This is their deepest penetration down to the 34-yard line. They might have made it to the 33 that first half. I believe this is the deepest they've gotten, trailing 14-0. Jackson in motion. Elway on the roll, throws to the tight end, and it's Kay who has another first down at the 22-yard line. Well, Elway last week was as fired up as we've ever seen him as the Broncos beat the Rams. This is after he made a scramble down to the one, then he snuck it in for a touchdown, and he said, hey, I mean business.
That kind of emotional leadership, very important, and it's been a very flat Elway and a very flat Bronco team. And as Tony Dorsett said earlier, Elway is the go on our offense. He also is the stop on that offense. And when he is cold, this offense and this defense do not play that well. Elway has to get him cranking.
Yeah, this has been as solid a drive, short as it may have been, as Dorsett gets the handoff in a little running room, and the number 2 rusher in NFL history behind Walter Payton picks up 4 yards before Millen and Fellows makes the stop.
Raider defense, Dick, excuse me, putting some real hits on. That's Matt Millen, and this Raider defense has kind of lost its identity, except for Millen, who maintains that intimidator philosophy, but they do not have the reputation around the league that they once had of being the kind of team you just didn't want to play against because they would hurt you. But Matt Millen will still do it. You saw it there.
He's the throwback to the Alzado and the Matuzak.
Yeah. Jack Tatum to
2nd and 6, and too tall the throw intended for Vance Johnson.
Dick, I think you can trace the loss of that mystique back to a game we did in Chicago in 1986 when the Bears did the intimidating, and the Raiders, I don't think, have felt the same way about themselves. They would like to reestablish that kind of feeling. Al Davis has blamed the loss of that kind of intimidating play in part on coming to Los Angeles. He said, I think it may have made my players softer. And looking for a new stadium outside of Los Angeles, maybe they're looking for an opportunity to toughen up.
Now they're still talking about Irwindale Raiders in 1992. Elway on the scramble. And driven down at the 11-yard line. That'll be close.
I think maybe a measurable down as the yard markers all the way on the other side of the field. They're going to bring it all the way across to measure it. And Reeves may have an interesting decision here. I don't know that you're in a situation where you can afford to go for the automatic field goal here. Not with a kicker who's missed 5 in a row. You got to do what you got to do. I'm an athlete first, a football player first, and a quarterback second. And if I got to go head first, if I got to dive over the pile, that's what I'll do.
And he's over 200 yards rushing this year. He's been the top rushing AFC quarterback the last 5 years. And has it a first down at the Raider 11-yard line. It's Dorsett picking his way down to the 8-yard line. But it isn't the Tony Dorsett that was a thrilling Heisman winner at the University of Pittsburgh and so many years a star with the Dallas Cowboys. And
openings exploding through them and making people miss. He does not have that kind of breakaway burst speed anymore.
2nd down. Intercepted by Greg Townsen, and that's the defensive end outrunning Elway, and Townsen has his 3rd career touchdown. Oh my.
Back-to-back weeks Townsen will have a touchdown. He got one last week when Piquel forced a fumble off the sack on Craig in Seattle. But this is all his and a lineman's dream. And he shows you some of that speed that we talked about earlier in the ball game. He carries it all the way to the end of the field. You almost need a gas station down there, an oxygen tank to gas up. But boy, I'll tell you, that puts the Broncos even further in the hole. An opportunity to get some points, and they go the other way.
Well, adds the extra point, an 85-yard touchdown run with the interception for Townsen. A Los Angeles high school product. He went to Compton High School. He's in the right place at the right time as the receiver falls, and Townsen makes the catch, and off he goes down the home stretch. Quite a day for Greg Townsen, and now the kickoff. 21-0 Raiders. Down to Jason Johnson, who's had his troubles, and now picks it up, has running room. 25, 30, and he's out to the 35-yard line. 86 yards, the official distance on Greg Townsend's interception for a touchdown. What a day. 4 tackles, 2 sacks, and a big, big touchdown with this interception.
I think Elway figures he's got a great mismatch. Townsen is out there to try and cover Sewell, but Elway made the mistake of throwing the ball low. Had he looped that ball over the top, that would have been a touchdown for Denver. As it is, it ends up a touchdown for the Raiders.
250-pound Townsen can rumble. He scored 22 points now as a defensive player. He has a couple of safeties and 3 career touchdowns. 21-0, and now it becomes desperate for Denver. He's going deep, has a man deep. Johnson, and that should be interference. It is.
You bet.
Van McElroy not playing the ball, playing the man, and he bumped him too soon.
McElroy playing hurt. Hit in the larynx last week in the throat. They're trying to get deep behind him, and they do get there. Vance Johnson.
26
you see that? You cannot drive through the man. There was a chance for Johnson to have a piece of that football. You can't see the throat piece that McElroy has, but it's like a turtleneck that tightly covers that larynx, which he'd injured before. Let's look at that play. Elway going for big marbles here all the way down the field. McElroy is going to give him a chance to start it in from the 15-yard line.
50-yard interference penalty on the replay. Actually, McElroy timed it pretty well. It was pretty close. Elway throwing for Jackson, incomplete. Working against Ron Fellows, the corner for the Raiders. Ball was out of bounds anyway. Wilhite, who was one of the favorite receivers of Elway out of the backfield, will not play the rest of the day with his multiple injuries. Well, this is where Denver was just moments ago, only to find Townsen scoring for Los Angeles.
It has not been a very happy day for Elway or for the Broncos, for any of them for that matter.
Broncos were shut out 42-0 their last road game. They're whitewashed so far, 21-0 today. Full blitz. They give to Sewell. Ran up the back of his own blocker. That slowed him up, and not much out of that as Reggie McKenzie, 54, makes the tackle. McKenzie, his twin brother Raleigh, plays for the Washington Redskins on the offensive side of the ball as a guard.
He's the baby in that defensive linebacking core, a 4th-year veteran. The rest of those linebackers a little bit long in the tooth, something that they're going to have to deal with. There they are, some rocket chairs in that Raider locker room, and that is getting to be a problem for these Raiders. You have that many linebackers. Those are the starters, folks. Over 30 years old. You got a problem defensively.
3rd down for Elway. And it's incomplete. Intended for Johnson. And trailing 21-0. Rich Carlos is going to try a field goal. Van McElroy in on the coverage, number 26. His dad, a reverend for over 50 years down in Canipa, Texas, a small little town of about 300, and it'd be tough for him to do any preaching the rest of his life. He says he thinks his voice will never be the same.
He said most guys worry about walking when they're out of this game at age 50. He says, I just like to be able to talk.
He hasn't been able to this week after that fractured larynx. Ooh, that just the sound of that. Here's Carlos trying to end his 5 miss slump, and he does hit that one from short range, 29 yards. So Denver has at least put something on the board. Or when they were in Oakland, Fred Biletnikoff now in the Hall of Fame. They honored him before the game today, along with other Raider Hall of Famers, Otto, Blanda, Biletnikoff, Upshaw, and Willie Brown. And there's the ring as Pete Elliott from Canton, Ohio, in the Hall of Fame presented the ring, something that he did to you earlier, and something else I remember about you. And Townsen brought back memories of you streaking. Was it a fumble or an interception?
Picked up a fumble, went 59 yards, and what I remember is that Deacon Jones kept saying lateral, lateral, lateral. All he had to do was block. I had a TD. Lateral, lateral.
You'll never forget. Here's Tim Brown, and he's corralled again before he can get to the 20-yard line. So the Broncos have been very successful in harnessing this talent on kickoff returns.
Well, it's one of the few successes they've had all day. Right now they need some kind of big plays out of that defense, and that's something that's been sadly lacking from Joe Collier's defense this year. I think in part because of the absence of Carl Mecklenburg, although this defense has yet to score on the season, and over the last 4 years they've scored 15 touchdowns defensively. They do not have any defensively so far in 88.
Well, we'll see how safely Schrader and the Raiders play it midway through the third quarter, and a 21-3 lead. Well, they aren't. Little play action and the throw downfield for Fernandez. Incomplete at the 30-yard line, and what a throw by Schrader. He unleashed that from around his own 10-yard line, and it landed at the 30 right in the hands of Swervin Merlin, who has the best average of any receiver in the NFL, 26 yards a catch. There are the other scores in the third quarter. Here it's 21-3, but as if you were looking at this game as a Denver fan, if they score instead of Townsend's interception, the score is 14-10 now instead of 21-3. What a big play.
Or if Fernandez hangs on to the football, it's another 7.
That's
however
right.
You want to look at it, Dick.
Perfect throw by Schrader.
Beautiful throw.
Well, the 45-second clock, and now Bo Jackson getting outside for a moment, and a flag goes down as Freddie Gilbert, number 90, wraps his knees together.
Chris Ream, who has had a great deal of difficulty today, I think is going to be targeted for another holding call.
Jackson picked up about 3-4 yards on the play, so it's a choice of 3rd and 6 or
Holding.
second
77 offense. Still second down.
and 20, which will be the case.
He's stacked up in that offensive line next to Don Mosbar. Mosbar, one of the best offensive centers in the league over the last few years. They moved him out to that left tackle position. It's got to be the toughest position in that offensive line. And a lot of people said, oh, he probably doesn't like that. But actually, Mosbar willing to take that change. Was a tackle in college. And the Raiders felt that by moving Bill Lewis into that center position and putting the very athletic Don Mosbar out at left tackle, they would strengthen that offensive line. That's Lewis, the youngster that took his place. And Mosbar certainly has played well out there, but he's been hurt. Ankle injuries and a bunch of nicks and bruises that have kept him from being as effective as he should have been at that tackle position.
Well, on second thought, the Broncos are going to take the play apparently and bring up 3rd down.
Why would they do that?
And the officials now have to find out where the actual spot, because they'd already marked off the penalty. Well, they're going to bring up 3rd down. That gives a little less time to the Raiders, and Dan Reeves gambling that they can stop them on 3rd, get the ball quicker.
Time is certainly important, but that's not a vote of confidence to a defense. When a defense is playing well, you take those penalties and dare the offense to come back and pick up the 1st down.
Mike Harden discussing it.
Thanks. The defensive backs for the Denver Broncos have had to make a lot more tackles themselves, and they're beginning to pay a price for that.
Big 3rd down for the Denver defense, and Schrader in the shotgun. And now scrambling, and Simon Fletcher has the sack at the 5-yard line. Fletcher's 9th of the year. He leads the Broncos. And it's the 4th Denver sack of the game.
Schrader, who is not afraid to run, having to try and get out of the grasp here, but Fletcher is a converted defensive lineman with excellent speed. similar to the kind of speed that Townsen has. Let's look at the kind of coverage that was, boy, that's blanket coverage. Wrap around and hang on.
Gossett kicking another short kick from his end zone, but not too bad. It'll float out to the 45 and a 40-yard punt where Mike Harden fields it, and it'll be Denver's ball at the Raider. Minor league baseball players on the Raider roster. He hit a little soft fly ball to fairly shallow left field on that last one.
Given Denver excellent field position. Done that twice here in the second half.
His average on the day exactly what he has for the season, 41.8, and the Raiders are happy with his kicking. Elway now goes to work underneath to the tight end, and Kay is to the 31-yard line. Or is that Orson Mobley, 89? It's Mobley, a 6'5" target. And it's a first down for Denver. Denver's moved the ball well here in the third quarter, but has only 3 points to show for it. And the Raiders have 7 to show for that long interception return for Townsen of 86 yards.
You've got to have the payoffs at the end of those drives. They're not worth the paper they're written down on.
6 minutes and 20 seconds left in the third quarter. 21-3 the score. On the outside he goes to Mobley again. Stays in bounds at the 28 of Los Angeles. Short gain of 4. Russell Carter on the coverage.
Mobley, if you will, with Elway in the system. And there's no question that he and Elway missed each other early this year.
Well, Elway confirmed that this week in Denver interview as the 25-yard line, another short game. He says that other than his father, Jack Elway, the coach at Stanford, that he was closer to Mike Shanahan than any coach he's ever played for. And he still calls him on a regular basis. He said mostly to talk about family affairs. There's the 36-year-old Shanahan now here in Los Angeles. The Jets lead for the first time at Kansas City. Ever called any of your coaches? We'll get the answer after this play. Elway, third down and 4. Throws complete, and it should be good for the first down to the 19-yard line to Jackson. Eddie Anderson, number 33 on the hit.
Good strong arm throw by Elway to Jackson, setting it inside the 20-yard line. I get a chance to see one of my old coaches quite often, Chuck Knox, who coached me here, and occasionally get a chance to talk to George Allen, who's around, my college coach Tony Knapp, and John Ralston, who was the head coach in those days. I talked to both of them in the last year or so. In fact, Ralston within the last month. So those are relationships that are very personal, Dick.
And for Elway, his with Shanahan, very tight. He's throwing too far for Jackson this time. Or is that Kay down there? Clarence Kay. And Elway just did unload that one. And has been displeased with the fact that they took them on February 29th, just hours before the deadline when you can take a coach from another NFL team. So that left Denver in the position of only going for college coaches. Now flags go down as there was contact before the snap, and it's against Denver.
Now Greg Townsen jumped, and I would think that someone had pulled him offside with a premature move.
False start, 60 offense. Still second down.
Gerald Perry.
And we mentioned that Perry has had to move from his left guard position to a right guard position because of the injury to Jim Juriga, who had moved into that right guard position from the left tackle position. I'll tell you, it is a tough job to keep up with all of the injury problems that have been created for this Denver offense. And there's no question in my mind that that's one of the things that's happening to them today. They're just having trouble functioning in positions in many cases that are unfamiliar to them.
Second down and 15, and if Denver can score, nevertheless, here with time remaining in the third quarter, they're back in the game. Elway looking for something and can't find it as it goes through the hands of Natil, and that'll bring up third down. McElroy there for the Raiders. It's almost a 4-down situation here for Denver. They really don't need another field goal, trailing 21-3.
Chance to look at that line in action, and that ball thrown high. Boy, I tell you, that's the kind of passes you don't thank a quarterback for. That's the kind that sends you back with all those rib pains.
Charlie Sumner of the Raiders.
Happy man today. They've had some less than happy moments as a defense during this season.
Inside handoff to Winder. And the Raiders moving to the ball well and stuff it at the 19-yard line. And here comes Carlos and the field goal unit. So this would be a really disappointing three deep drives by Denver, and to come up with only 2 field goals, and one's throw goes to the Raiders and they get 7.
We've seen Dan Reeves pull some of the trick plays out of the hat, and I'm sure that if I were Charlie Sumner, I would be saying watch for the fake field goal. That's a quarterback holding Kubiak.
Carlos's sense of humor, he's broken that slump of 5 straight misses with a 29-yarder. This is 36 yards. And he's 2 for 2 today. But it's a hollow 3-pointer for the Broncos, who still trail by more than 2 touchdowns. Raiders 21, Denver 6. Of the National Football League is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the Los Angeles Raiders and the National Football League is prohibited. This game is the property of the National Football League, Denver Broncos, and Los Angeles Raiders. All rights reserved. Tim Brown held in check on kickoff returns by the Broncos. They've kept him inside the 20. Here's his 3rd chance. And Carlos stuffs this one. He hit the tee. This one comes down to Stephon Adams at the 23. And Adams down the sidelines. Did he step out of bounds?
Yes, he did. Yep,
At the 40.
40. Just inside the 40. Dick, a quick question for you. In light of what we talked about with relation to Shanahan and his arrival here in Los Angeles, would it be your opinion that Al Davis went out deliberately to cripple the Broncos by taking those coaches away?
Well, I think some people, and even Bolin himself, says that he didn't mind him taking the coach, but why did he wait till the last hour, where he really not only took a good coach away from me, but left me in a position where I had no time to pick other.
I think there were good reasons to hire Shanahan, aside from the fact that it really hurt Denver. But there's no question that Davis's first responsibility to his team, as he sees it, is to get them to the playoffs, and you have to win the division to do that.
There's a fumble, and the Broncos have recovered. There's the turnover they were looking for. Bo Jackson coughs it up, and Dennis Smith falls on it for Denver.
Well, we talked about the absence of the big play for the Denver defense. They get one here. Elway needs to come in and take advantage of it. Let's see if we can see what happens to Jackson as he gets up into traffic. That ball stripped away on the left-hand side. A linebacker, I believe. I could not tell who it was.
So it's Denver's ball at the 47 of Los Angeles.
Dennison, I believe, the guy who stripped that away, Dick.
And Elway works from the shotgun with 3.5 minutes left in the 3rd quarter. As a man open, it's Tony Dorsett, and Dorsett steps out of bounds inside the 40, and a little bit of wrestling going on. Mike Wise, a defensive lineman of the Raiders, engaged with, I believe, a 54 Keith Bishop.
Bishop going to have a hard time fighting with that cast on that hand of his.
Dorsett, meanwhile, with a reception today. He's not been used much as a pass receiver. He had 397 career receptions coming in, I believe. I know that's his 2nd. Is that his 3rd for Dorsett? I guess they took one away on a penalty. So that's only his 1st officially. 398 in his career. Unusual formation, and then the fake on the draw, and Elway, lots of time, throws underneath to Winder, hit immediately by Lyndon King, the former San Diego Charger. Short yardage, a gain of 3.
Well, you're going to have to keep Townsen out of there. That's one way. Take him in a circle. Rick Kay getting a swat for his action. And Townsen saying, hey, come on, you got to see that. These offenses, very sophisticated, getting their hands inside. And I'll tell you, with everybody holding, you just don't get them all called.
Winder trying to find room. There is none. He's to the 35-yard line, and Lyndon King again there to smother the play with lots of help. So 3rd down for Denver. And the Broncos have played this entire 3rd quarter in the Raiders' half of the field, and yet have but 2 field goals to show for it. Other teams around the NFL know of this Raider defense, including the high-scoring 49ers, who managed only a field goal as the Raiders beat them 9-3. drills the ball to Jackson, hit at the 27-yard line. Russell Carter, that'll be shy of the first down, 9 yards on the play.
Dick, we talked about the memories that Dan Reeves has of the loss to the Raiders, in which they really felt that they had such a strong opportunity to win. For Shanahan and for these Raiders, their recent game in Atlanta, that kind of ball game, fumbled twice down inside the 2-yard line, ended up losing 12-6. That's a game that they knew they had great opportunities to win, and yet ended up being on the short side of.
3rd down and 2 for Elway. In trouble, a flag down, the ball up for grabs, and it falls incomplete. But there was holding on Townsen. They almost tackled Townsen trying to get to Elway. Elway gets up slowly and
very slowly. Comes up very slowly. Has some ribs that are sore from last week's game against the Rams. Lanier, absolutely a necktie tackle, and it's Piquel, number 71, that takes Elway down, and I'm sure that's
76 offense, still 3rd down.
Those ribs, even though Elway wears a flak jacket, those ribs are still sore from last week. He is a tough, I'll tell you, he is a tough competitor, but I've got to believe that Elway and this whole Bronco team are suffering from 2 very long and exhausting seasons. And it's apparent, if you look at the emotional level of this team, it's just very difficult for them to sustain through this year.
You're talking about the 2 Super Bowl
I'm talking about their 2
Super
Bowl years, those extra months, and then the losses, that painful experience at the end of those Super Bowls, of having to live with that loss through the whole off season.
Raiders taking the penalty, so 3rd and long, and what a throw to Jackson. Oh, and he's toppled by Russell Carter as Elway threading it to the courageous little wide receiver Jackson, 180.
A lot of trouble.
Just the reverse of the first quarter, where the Raiders had all the first downs and the Broncos couldn't get any. It's a first down now. Elway again has a man open as Vance Johnson stops the clock as he goes out of bounds at the 14-yard line. 38 seconds left in the 3rd quarter. Well, it was Denver trying to get a touchdown here that could make things interesting in the 4th quarter.
Turnovers were the key to that comeback. Elway's going to do it himself.
Sneak for a first down to the 6-yard line. So that had to be an automatic. Elway saw no linebacker there and goes straight ahead for good yardage. 1st and goal. Final seconds.
See Elway just sliding right up in behind his center on that play. Plenty of yardage for the first down. Got it down to the 7. 1st and goal. Need the payoff here. 3 points don't help you.
8 seconds, 7 seconds left. Might be the final play of the 3rd quarter as Sammy Winder trying to get outside, cannot. Bumped out of bounds with 1 second left in the period. Stacy Terrain. He has aged though this season.
Been a tough season for him.
Elway throwing for his tight end, touchdown, Clarence Kay. Boy, there's a lot of Denver fans here.
They're finally getting a touchdown to cheer about. Elway's first of the day. Goes the big tight end. The concentration on the wide receivers. Elway finds the open man and the matchup that pleases him, and that's to the tight end K.
From the Broncos. Even the defensive touchdown was initiated by the Broncos. Townsen going the blue. Did he make it? He just did hook it through.
Just barely. And a few more fisticuffs down there on the line of scrimmage. These two teams absolutely do not like each other.
The end of the 3rd quarter. We'll be back after these messages from at the 7 converted into the touchdown, the first scored by the Denver offense against the Raiders in 5 quarters, and plus an overtime, a high short kick that is taken away from Brown by Steve Smith, and Smith crosses the 30 to the 32-yard line. Mark Munford made the tackle along with the 3rd quarter. Had 4 deep drives, 2 field goals, a touchdown, and the touchdown for the Raiders on the 86-yard pass interception.
What the Raiders need now is a possession drive to eat that clock.
Bo Jackson, and they kept forcing him wide, and finally Mark Haynes coming up from the corner to make the tackle. Well, in case you've been away on this day, here are the other 3 now in the 4th the city. We've just opened the 4th quarter here in the Coliseum. 21-0. The Raiders had led. Now it's 21-13. 2nd down 9. Jackson again, and Bo Runs through a couple of tacklers to the 35. That's all.
Maybe
and they're trying to steal it. Did they get it? Dennis Smith came up with it. We had the whistle sounded. We'll soon find out.
It looks like they got the football, and it's simply a question of when the whistle blew down there. The officials trying to sort things out.
And you have to appreciate that the Broncos, who have had trouble bringing Bo Jackson down, and certainly Jackson the kind of runner you don't want to blow the whistle too soon. And in this case, they say the whistle had sounded.
Art Dumas, the umpire, I think right in there in the middle of that, trying to separate some of these players as they're trying to strip that football away. There it goes. Of course, that's the kind of thing that one and call the timeout.
Now a big play, 3rd down, 7. Raiders. Plenty of time left. 21-13. Los Angeles leads. Looks like a busted play. And now it's Smith. Ooh, what a hit at the 41-yard line. Mike Harden came up to apply a blow, the former University of Michigan Wolverine, and that'll be short of a 1st down. And the punting team will come on for the Raiders, or will they? They haven't as yet. Well, maybe psychology now, as well as his true emotional feelings.
Other times, Dick, when you got to show them, you can't show them you're hurt, as it was the case after that loss to the Raiders earlier in the year.
What a beautiful kick by Gossett, all the way to the 7-yard line. Jeff Gossett. So the Broncos, trailing by 8, will begin inside their 10-yard line. Timeout. Draw within 8. 13:08 left in the 4th quarter. From his own 7, now his end zone, out to the tight end. A one-handed catch by Clarence Kay. He just meat hooked that ball and took it out to the 19-yard line, and that'll be good enough for a 1st down.
Pick up the 1st down.
Second half, Denver 11 1st downs, the Raiders none. Fake on the draw out of the shotgun, and Elway throwing incomplete. It was in the hands of Scott Davis for a moment. The rookie from Illinois almost with a chance, and he would have followed Greg Townsend's steps for a touchdown by defensive end.
6 foot.
2nd and 10, Elway. Has a man, Natil at the 30, hit immediately by Mike Haynes, a 9-time Pro Bowler. But it appears Natil has another 1st down for Denver. Well, let's see.
He'd never been in an earthquake before, but I tell you, there were a lot of us that woke up with that one as it shook this Southern California area pretty well.
Yesterday morning, a lot of our NBC people as well experienced their first earthquake.
Oh, and I fumbled, but it looked like the ball was down.
Driving to the 30-yard line, they've spotted it there, and it'll be a 1st down for Denver.
He needed to get
11 minutes left. 21-13, the long throw. Complete to Jackson. Mark Jackson caught from behind by Mike Haynes. Haynes saved a touchdown, but what a magnificent throw from Elway, just dropping that rainbow right into the arms of Mark Jackson. And has momentum ever shifted here in the Coliseum?
There aren't many 35-year-old cornerbacks in the NFL. And Elway has been going to the right side after Fellows. He finally comes back and throws the deep shot on Haynes. And Mike looked back a fraction of a second too late, where I think he would have been able to bat that ball away. And Jackson continues to be the big playmaker for John Elway.
It's a 1st and goal for the Broncos, and Denver calls timeout.
Good grief.
The second timeout used by the Broncos. 21-13, 1st and goal with 11 minutes left in the 4th quarter. A reverse to Jason Johnson, and Johnson gets only to the 4-yard line. Jerry Robinson held his ground and was helped out by Russell Carter.
Black-shirted Raiders out there to greet the ball carrier.
Now the Raider fans trying to help the defense. Touchdown! Wide open is Mobley, or is it Kay again? Kay. Clarence Kay has his 2nd touchdown, and it's 21-19. No one picked up the tight end.
Early in the broadcast, I talked about the importance of a 4th receiver stepping forward. The 3 amigos are going to do their job, but you got to have a big performance from someone else, and it's been Clarence Kay today.
Kay, who had 2 touchdown passes all season, has a pair of touchdowns here in the second half.
And Jim Juriga is back in on this kicking team.
Try for point by Carlos is good. It's 21-20 with plenty of time. 10 minutes, 13 seconds left. Big play, the 63-yard throw to Jackson. Kay with his second touchdown, and suddenly it's a 21-20 game. 10 minutes and 13 seconds left. Tim Brown waits for Carlos's kick. Brown has not gotten one past the 20 in the game. And just does get to the 20 this time. Hit just shy Tyrone Braxton, 34 downfield.
Bell might have been the first guy to get a hold of him.
Raiders do not have a first down in the second half. One almost flopped right back into the arms of Jim Ryan as Tim Brown is jolted just as the ball arrives. Dennis Smith, a hitting safety man.
I think a case of nerves too. I think this is going to go right through the hands of Tim Brown and right off his face mask. Let's look and see. Bam, right off the helmet, and almost an interception.
And Schrader low and outside on that throw, intended for Marcus Allen.
Not a good time for nerves. This is a time for steadiness and a time to contain that football, control the football. We're also going to get the Broncos are going to have a chance here to come up with a big series. They get the turnover here, they're guaranteed a good field position.
The Raiders had a 21-0 lead when Greg Townsen ran 86 yards with an Elway interception. Now 3rd and 10. Just under 10 minutes to play. The Raiders lead cut to 1. Throw to Lofton. And he's down right at the 30-yard line. It's going to be very close for a first down.
They're probably going to have to measure this. Lofton, who has become a control receiver, the blitz on, able to find him there. Harden, the man coming up from the secondary. See the ball ending up cradled, and that's where they'll mark the football. A little help on the mark from Mark Haynes there.
Well, this is going to be a tough measurement.
Well, they're both sides pointing, saying yes, no, yes, no.
Still ahead by 3 at Kansas City. Minnesota apparently is going to beat New Orleans, and the Raiders are going to go for it. Oh my!
And less than a yard.
What a gamble! 21-20 from their 30-yard line.
Maybe they're just going to try and draw them off sides here, barking the signals. But the Denver defense,
that's it.
28th in the league against the rush. You'd think that maybe that would impact Shanahan's decision, but he was just trying to get a Denver defense that.
We're down 21-0. A lot of heads down, a lot of players sitting back on the bench. Now they're up and active, and you can just sense how the feelings of this game have turned. They're on the Denver side as the kick comes down to Harden. He fumbles and recovers at the 37-yard line. A 35-yard punt by Gossett. You see Ron Brown, 64, fighting Harden. Elway working from the shotgun. It was last year on that Monday night game against the Bears where the Broncos started to use the shotgun on first down. They really turned the Denver season around. Underneath and wide open is Mark Jackson, who skids down at the 48-yard line of the Raiders. Another first down. 15 more yards, and has Mark Jackson ever put together 2 great games back-to-back? 6 catches, 140 yards last week, and 6 catches, 138 yards this week.
Well, he had had a chance to be in the lineup because of an injury to Ricky Nattiel, an ankle injury. He said after last week's performance, I feel like I deserve to have a chance to start, and he has done nothing but strengthen his hand here today.
Some second half by Elway, 200 yards passing as he's rallied his team from 21-0 down. He's got another man open, and it's Vance Johnson.
What a great catch. Well, I tell you, one of the advantages that a small receiver has is the ability to make those quick turns, and Johnson doing a pirouette to catch that football.
Under heavy pressure from Ron Fellows, a gain of 5.
Dick, if the Broncos do manage to come back in this ball game, it'll be the first time since the NFL adopted the 16-game schedule that this series would be not swept by one team. And the first time they've split it.
You win the first one, you win the second one. That's been the pattern since the 70s. Elway's pass incomplete to Mark Jackson, one of the few that he hasn't pulled in. Here's a player, Jackson, and they 3rd down and 5 at the Los Angeles 44. Elway batted in the air and complete. A big defensive play by Malcolm Taylor. Number 96, 70, Scott Davis was there as well.
Creating his own earthquake down there. Taylor using that size and height to get up in front of John Elway. There he is, right side of your screen, number 96, working against 2 blockers. Hands up, last possible second. And the receiver was open. Steve Sewell open. That would have been a completion and a probable first down.
Denver is not coming out with their punting team, and the Raiders call time. Raiders had half their punt return team and half of the other team. They had about 16 men on the field. And well, we were kind of surprised when he went for the field goal down deep at 21-3 to make it 21-6, and still who gets to go to the playoffs representing the AFC West.
Well, this is a playoff game.
Yeah, here's Elway pooching it. And what a kick to the 1-yard line. It was touched, I believe, at the 6, so they may bring it back to there. If it was touched at the 6, that's where they'll spot it. So the second time today, Elway out of the shotgun. That short punt formation.
Oof. That looked like Townsen almost got a hand on that football. There's the touching right there about the 8-yard line. That football, that would have been disastrous, but a smart play by the Raiders, or by the Broncos.
38-yard punt for Elway. Raiders without a first down, deep in their own end. Marcus Allen driving to the 9-yard line. Greg Cragen, another tackle for the Broncos, and at the moment the clocks are not functioning, at least on the scoreboard, and now down the auxiliary clock shows 7:13 left.
Mike Shanahan going to the sure-handed Marcus Allen rather than Bo Jackson here. Steve Smith, as we mentioned, the best blocker among these backs, will be the lead back in there. That's one of the bad things about trying to get Jackson and Allen into the same backfield. You really don't have a true fullback in there.
2nd and 7. That's Fernandez in motion. And Allen diving over the top and hit hard at the 13. Walt Boyer from Arizona State, number 65, submarining on the play. Brings up 3rd down and a couple.
Well, we talked earlier in the ball game about the size differential between this big Raider front line and the defensive front of the Denver Broncos. And the Raiders right now trying to exploit that. But you get a feeling, Dick, that this emotional pickup that John Elway has given to this team has carried over to the defense.
Another big play. Fake by Schrader. He's going to run it himself. And he's out of bounds at the 16 with a first down. Ooh. Just enough.
Shanahan, who had that play designed in Denver for John Elway, runs it here with Schrader. And Schrader showing you some of his speed and athletic skill. Gets away from the tackler there and picks up the first down.
6 minutes and 2 seconds left in this 4th quarter as the Raiders have their first down of the second half. Still deep in their own end at the 16. They lead 21-20. Marcus Allen. And the talented runner who has led the Raiders in the last several years in rushing has about 5. Those viewers who have just joined us for the Magical World of Disney program, please stay tuned. It will be a special 5 left. Jackson hit by Ryan, stopped at the 24-yard line where it'll be 3rd and 2. And for the Raiders, this is a time where they just like to stay in the ground and chew up the clock. 5 minutes left.
When you're giving up about 20 pounds a man up front, you just have to play emotional and gutty football. And right now, that's what the Broncos are doing. The Raiders very simply are looking to exploit that running defense, which, as we mentioned, is last in the league right here. And if they can do it and grind out a couple of first downs, they can eat up the clock. They took more than 7 minutes with their first drive of the day.
That's right. That went for a touchdown. That was the Jackson capped that drive. 3rd and 2. Schrader again. Same play, same results. Another first down. Did he go out of bounds to stop the clock? No.
He's inside and the clock runs. Smart play. Jay Schrader showing you the experience, hard-won experience that he developed at Washington.
All the other finals of this day. 2 games to go for most of the teams. Still a game tonight and tomorrow night. Cincinnati now is equal. The Buffalo Bills at 11-3 are the best records in the AFC. San Francisco, they win their final 2 games. They will win the NFC West. Indianapolis still alive. They'll play the Jets next Saturday. Now the clock running at 3:49. A couple of big first downs deep in their own end for the Raiders. Steve Smith.
You almost have the feeling that Shanahan is setting that defense up for a pass, Dick. They've run the ball, they've run the ball, they've run the ball. Play action pass, get somebody to bite, take that ball over their heads.
Don't forget, they can't use just the clock.
With the clock. That's right. They can't stop it with timeouts at this point. Only 1 left.
7 straight running plays for the Raiders, naturally, as they want to eat up that clock, and so they are. This time a bootleg, and the throw incomplete. No, it's a catch. He caught it inbounds. First down at the 49-yard line. Mervin Fernandez.
When the running game is working, all you have to do is fake that ball inside. You get a little freeze. Mark Haynes isolated man-to-man, giving Mervin Fernandez a big cushion. Watch Fernandez right on the sideline. Toe tap in time.
What a catch.
Let's look at that again. 1 toe down.
2 toes down.
2 toes down. But boy, I tell you, you couldn't put a couple of pieces of paper between that left foot and the sideline.
Here's the veteran Fernandez from San Jose State, 5 years in the to make a big play. Marcus Allen gets into Denver territory to about the 48, maybe the 47-yard line. Brings up 2nd down, and with the 45-second clock, of course, you can use much more time in the late going than in previous years when you were restricted to 30 seconds. That's one part of that addition that makes it very difficult. A team with the lead, sitting on the lead, a 45-second clock. In the old days, 30 seconds was an eternity. Now 45 seem eons for the club behind.
Schrader will watch that clock, too. You see it ticking left-hand side of your screen.
It's Allen again. He's close to another first down. With the clock running down to the 2-minute timeout, Jim Ryan finally made the tackle. So starting from the 5-yard line, the Raiders staying on the ground, moving to first down after first down, and they're 2 minutes away from a 3-way tie in the West. His biggest day, 325 yards, but one of those interceptions was on 2nd and goal at the Raider 8-yard line when Greg Townsen picked it off and went 86 yards for a Raiders score, the difference in the game.
Those 2 interceptions, and of course the one big one that you mentioned that went all the way to the other end zone.
First down at the 41, only 1 timeout left for Denver. And only a turnover can save any hopes for Elway, because now
there's the timeout.
And now all the Raiders have to do is kneel on it. No timeouts remaining for Denver. 2nd down and 6. And you can see now that the Raiders are just going to set up in that kneel down offense.
Schrader's called a timeout.
And to speed up the game. But in this situation, it really unduly punishes the team behind, doesn't give them a chance. when you literally can kneel down on the ball with just under 2 minutes left and have no fear of.
You'd have to believe, and I would like to see the rule change, so you have to go after the other team. You got to do something with that football besides sit on it.
Now it's at 30 seconds right now, and the play's long been over, and Dan Reeves can only watch that mechanical monster eat up the seconds. The executive producer of NBC Sports is Michael Weissman. Coordinating producer of NBC's football, Ted Nathanson. Coordinating producer of NFL Live is John Filippelli. Today's game was produced by George Finkel and directed by John Gonzalez. NFL Live produced by Rick Diamond and Tom Roy. NFL Live directed by Bucky Gunst. Technical directors Mike Straminsky and Richard Sansevier. And with 3 seconds left, they do take a little chance in a handoff. And with 1:02 left, they'll start the 45-second clock again. Our thanks in the booth to Joe Costanza and company, Chuck Panama, Ron Lux, Stan Otaki, and Doug Mann. Bill Olson, back from the wars, the broadcast wars in the high country, is with us as well. Time for our most valuable player award, sponsored by Budweiser. Greg Townsen, the touchdown man, that 86-yard interception. How big can it get? As Townsen has won it for the Raiders. Budweiser makes a contribution to the United Way on behalf of all the MVPs selected in today's games. Now the game clock down to 17 seconds and just running away, and with a couple of kneels by Schrader with almost 2 minutes to go. Well, it's down to 17, and now the penalty. So Gossett will have to punt the ball, and only a miracle will save Reeves and the Broncos.
If they had not called that timeout, I think they would have been able to run it all the way out. But you've got to have a miracle here.
No one even back for Denver. 11 men coming after Gossett, who just pooches it downfield, and with that the clock will continue to run as the ball does. 8 seconds, 7 seconds, and 6 seconds, and finally touched with 6 seconds left at the 5-yard line. Mike Shanahan.
Shanahan is saying, don't down it, just let it lay there.
Well, unless Elway pulls off one of the greatest final plays in the history of the NFL, that's how it will be with 2 games to go. And the Raiders have the advantage at the moment in that they have the best in division record. They would be 6-1 in the West, by far the best mark.
And Denver with a very poor divisional record, and with 2 losses to Seattle, they've still we still got games left for these guys. In fact, not 2 losses, 1 loss to Seattle. They go to Seattle next week,
and Seattle comes to the Raiders the final week.
Yeah.
Here's the final play of the game. Intercepted by Van McElroy, and the Raiders have beaten the Broncos 21-20. Schrader and Elway, who have been competing against each other since teenagers in high school here in the Los Angeles area. Shanahan and Reeves, close friends, and now intense competitors. It's all even with 2 to go in the West. 7 is the magic number. For the magical world of Disney program in its entirety, except for Mountain and Pacific stations, program seen at its regular time. For Merlin Olson, Dick Enberg, goodbye from Los Angeles.